Okay, I think we're good to go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 and thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Matthew. This is Facebook Live with Matthew. It's a stormy Friday night, 9 o'clock here in North End, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. It's been snowing since about 11:30 this morning. The snow continues to fall. It's looking to maybe taper off about 11 o'clock, so we could get literally 12 hours continuous of snow. I shot a short video this morning from Parade Square in Halifax about, I don't know, 7:30, 20 to 8, minus 17 at the time, no snow on the ground. And then I did another quick little video around 4 o'clock from the same location, ankle deep in snow. So I was thinking on the way home, and what I've thought a lot about since this is really my first winter in the Maritimes. You know, we arrived here last August. So I just think to myself, when we do get the cold weather, when we do get the snow, when I do have to walk back and forth, the streets are covered in snow, snow-covered roads, the sound of the plows. It's a trip down memory lane for me. So I'm really enjoying the winter season because for 21 years out west, I would have been already mowing the lawn. The flowers are already up out west in some places. So a totally new experience for me, and I will be forever grateful for the weather that we're getting. I don't complain about the weather. You just have to dress for it, yes? I see Alan is in here. Now we are waiting, I am waiting, and I'm going to share the conversation that I'm going to have with Simon MacInnis, who is in Conception Bay, South Newfoundland, where it's just after 9:30. Now, right off the get-go, I'll let you know that Simon does his own podcast, and he is set up in a particular location in his home, and he does everything on his laptop. So so Simon is in here now. So we're going to make an attempt to connect with Simon. It's given me the prompt right now. So let's just bring Simon on camera. I will send the invite. It's adding, the next person we see should be Simon MacInnis. Okay, we may be having, I'll continue on with what I was saying. He has been doing his own podcast, and everything is set up in his location at his office. Oh, there he is. Okay, perfect.
Matt, how's it going?
Yes. Great, Simon. So are you on your laptop or did you on the phone?
No,
What's happening?
it wouldn't let me join through the laptop, so I had to jump on my phone.
Okay. So I think we can definitely rule out that laptops just don't jive with Facebook Live. It's much better, I guess, either on an iPad or your phone.
Yes,
Okay. How are you, Simon?
not too bad. Thanks for having me on. I know we've talked about this for a long while, and glad to actually make an appearance on Matt TV.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you said that because you are my third guest on something that I'm doing. It is Matt TV, but I've just changed the name, just with the suggestion of Stephen Wilsack. Just like I was talking with you back and forth, just trying to be a little more uh, up my game, I guess, be a little more professional. You know what I mean? You understand, yes?
Oh, totally.
You do, because you have your own podcast, and we're going to talk about
Yes,
the podcast. We're going to talk about Quilts of Valor as well. But first,
where you at?
uh, I was just telling the audience that we've had snow here all day. It's about -8 right now. Feels more like -20. You are in Conception Bay, South Newfoundland, just outside St. John's, Newfoundland. What's the weather there tonight, Simon?
It's -4 is what the temperature is reading, but it's probably -14.
Okay.
We have no snow currently. There is snow in the forecast in the next day or so. Don't know how much we're going to get, but that is the current forecast. We fared fairly well this year. I think in total in the St. John's metro area, we've had maybe 60 to 65 centimeters of snow all winter, which is quite the reprieve from what we had 2 years ago.
Yes, yes, yes. Snowmageddon, that's what it was called,
Yeah.
yes.
Again,
Yeah.
I
Well,
remember one reporter saying that there was enough snow on the ground that if Shaquille O'Neal had been in St. John's, Newfoundland, it would have covered him.
wow. That's that really gives you a good perspective, a good idea of the amount. Wow, that's
Oh, it
amazing.
does.
That's listen,
Yeah.
Simon. Uh, you and I, we've known each other for years. We graduated together from Woodstock High School, class of 1991. For those that are watching the show tonight, for those that are watching Facebook Live with Matthew, with Simon MacInnis, I want you to, like I said, we're going to talk about what is happening in your life right now. But if you can, paint us a picture, give us some color as to what Simon MacInnis did after graduating and how you ended up married with a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful kids in St. John's, Newfoundland. So just kind of fill everyone in how you got to that point.
Okay, sure. After graduating in 1991, I went on to Atlantic Baptist College, which is now Crandall University. I spent 2 years there, just doing a general arts degree. And then in the latter part of 93, first part of 94, I enrolled in the Canadian Armed Forces. In an infantry unit, I was posted to CFB Chatham, which is no longer now. It closed in 1995, and I worked out of Bathurst. Unfortunately, about 6 weeks into basic training, I got injured and couldn't go any further. I knew that the Army was something that I wanted to attain to for my life. And so I went back and talked to my career counselor and worked with them and worked with some people at the base and got back to operational strength and returned to full strength in early of 97. But at that time, I decided to change my trade from infantry to air defense artillery and re-enrolled and completed my basic training then. I was in a regular force position. So when I first went in, my basic training was 11 and a half weeks. When I went back the second time, it was 14 and a half. So it was a bit of a shocker. Fast forward to 2001, I took an educational leave of absence for about a year and a half and went to the United States to do some work in a church down there. And then I returned back, and then I retired from the forces in 2004 after 10 years of service and moved here to the beautiful province of Newfoundland in 2005. And in 2010, married my beautiful wife. And then our first child came in 2016. Second one came in 2018. And then our last one in 2020. And many of my friends would know that I've got a significant birthday coming up this year, the big 50. So it's kind of scary to have 3 kids, all under 6. So yeah, it keeps me active and keeps me young.
Now, to get ready for this, I went through your Facebook, and your family put up some lovely family pictures.
That could be.
No, no, no. But what I wanted to say, just recently, you were celebrating Pink Shirt Day. So everyone in your family had a pink shirt on. Be kind. Be kind was the theme. So I'm just wondering, Simon, what acts of kindness are the girls witnessing from their mom and dad? And what are you teaching them about acts of kindness and to care for others?
Well, they've seen us live out that motto in everything that we do, and the fact that we try to accept everyone for who they are, and we try to instill that into our girls. Emily, our oldest, she's in kindergarten, so we try to encourage her to be kind at school and to make friends. And then the other two, we're trying to bring them up in the same way. And both Donna and myself, we attend the local Wesleyan church here in Newfoundland, and we try to raise our kids into that lifestyle that we have as well. And then I guess that plays over into my new recent project of the podcast and my other, I guess, involvement with the Quilt of Valor, which we're going to talk about later.
Yes. Beautiful. You also like to go out on outings. Quickly, where is your favorite place, and where is the family's favorite place for your fam jam, as you like to call it?
The family. I'd say our favorite spot would be our cabin. We have a cabin about an hour and 45 minutes away from where we live, and it's on a little lake or a pond, is what they call it over here. And we spend a good portion of we spent a good portion of last summer there, and it's very peaceful. For myself, when it's warmer out, I enjoy walking along the seashore. The ocean is only like a 5-minute walk from our house, and so yeah, it's kind of nice to go down there and just see the water and see some of the boats that come in and stuff like that.
Going to the seafloor is a good place to get grounded, literally and figuratively. A good place to go and get grounded. I want to talk about the Olympics and a couple of different aspects of it. And the first one is, did you see a lot of the Olympics this year? Did you happen to see, because there was a 12-hour time difference, but it was good to see live events in the morning, live events early evening. I'm just wondering, what did you see? Did you see any medal winning moments this time around?
I did watch the replay of the women's gold medal game. I primarily didn't watch a lot of the regular Olympics. My focus will be in the next couple weeks on the Paralympics, because my friend Liam Hickey and his teammates have just left Vancouver for Beijing, and he is the assistant captain for Team Canada for the Paralympic hockey team.
I'm glad that you mentioned Liam. His name, thanks to you, was on the Matt TV Canadian Unity flag. Just quickly elaborate a little bit more. How did you first get in contact with Liam, and what does he mean to you as far as an inspirational individual?
Well, back in 2006, I was working as a volunteer with the local town with their winter carnival. And they ended up having a sledge hockey exhibition game, and it was against the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary and the local sled hockey team. And I got picked up by the Constabulary hockey team to join them, and through that I ended up meeting Liam. And so Liam and I kept connecting over the years, and he kept asking me, "Hey, dude, you should come out to sledge hockey." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah." And then about 3 years ago, I took him up on the offer, and I actually went out and started playing with Liam and some of the other team members that he plays with here locally. And it was an absolute blast. The first couple times out, found muscles that I didn't know that I had from playing sledge hockey, because you use all your upper body, no legs whatsoever. You're strapped into this little sled. And then the second season I went back, he's like, "Oh, good to see you back." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it." He says, "Well, you're in my domain now, and you're a veteran now, so you're as good as gold." He's like, "So if you go into the boards, make sure you know what you're doing, because I'm coming for you." And I remember this one time that I had the puck and I was stick handling and I was going for the net, and I ended up losing contact of the puck, and I looked down to see where the puck was. And next thing I look up, and here's Liam coming towards me and put me over my shoulders backwards. And I just laid there on the ice, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much pain. And then he got up and he's like, I wouldn't have come at you unless I knew that you could take it. And so yeah, no, I have deep respect for Liam and for the rest of his friends that play with Team Canada. I know a couple of the guys. One of the guys used to be in the Canadian Army, so I know him through that. And but yeah, no, these guys are amazing, amazing athletes. Nothing that you've ever seen. I remember they had the Paralympic hockey championship here in just outside of where I live, and they had an exhibition opening for people to come check it out, and they had a race. Can you beat Liam? By the time people were making halfway around the rink, he'd already done like 2 or 3 laps.
Wow. Just to finish this off, the Paralympics are coming up really quick. As a Canadian, as his friend, as a supporter of that sport, in a sentence, what kind of emotions will you be feeling leading up to the games and watching your friend go for gold?
Well, I know I saw a post today from Liam saying that the team is pretty much focused on bringing gold back for Canada, and I know that they're going to be in a good spot to bring gold back to Canada. So I'm going to be watching their games pretty closely just to make sure that that does happen. And I've already sent some of the guys that I know my support, saying, hey, I'm cheering you guys on from the sidelines back here in Newfoundland, back here in Canada, and let's go get them.
Excellent. If you're just scrolling through Facebook, this is Matthew. This is Facebook Live with Matthew. This is Simon MacInnis in Conception, based out of Newfoundland. Pretty stormy night here in North End, Halifax. We are going to get talking about your podcast and Quilts of Valor, but just one final thing, and I think this kind of ties in really nice. We just talked about your friend heading over to Beijing, where COVID restrictions and protocol is like really strict. Here we are in Canada, where restrictions are being lifted. Next month looks like a good month for most of the provinces. So I'm just wondering, what is the current situation in Newfoundland, and just share the story of your beginning, because you were completely separated from the rest of your family for quite a length of time at the beginning of this pandemic. So just, again, this a brand new audience here, Simon. So feel free just to, I'm giving you the time now to tell your stories.
Sure. Well, when we'll back pause to March of 2020. So March the 7th, my youngest daughter was born. 2 weeks later, we're at home and COVID hit, and I was working at the time, and I was in a job that didn't allow me to adequately work from home. So at that time, nobody really knew what was going on with COVID and everything, and everybody was listening to the medical experts, and they were saying, oh, well, this is only going to be a 2-week reprieve, and then everybody's going to be back to normal. So because of the fact that we just had a fairly new infant with us, my wife and I and the 3 kids decided, well, I can't successfully work from home. So they're going to move to her parents' place. So the 3 of them packed up, moved down, and here we thought, oh, this is only going to be short-lived. This is going to be 2 weeks, and we'll be done. 2 weeks pass, they're still in the restrictions. And long and short of it, 4 months later, we reunited on Father's Day of that year, so June of 2020. So for
Yeah.
about 4 months of that year, I watched my infant daughter grow up without me holding her or kissing her or kissing my wife or my other two children. I talked to them through a window. I got a meal, which I was very thankful for that they provided. And then I came home to an empty house myself and our dog at the current time. We now have two dogs and three kids. Uh, but yeah, 4 months of doing the self isolation, and then we went back to uh, regular living. And so now, fast forward to 2022, and March the 17th, I believe it is, all the restrictions here in Newfoundland are lifting. No
Okay.
more vax pass, no more mask man, none of that, no social distancing, back to normal.
Okay. Uh, I wanted to say while you were telling that story, just we know that people's mental health has really been kicked around, and even more so now. And I was going to talk about this off the beginning of the show. Like, I have this heaviness to me, uh, which is why I'm so grateful that I have the technology to stay communicating with people because what's happening in Ukraine right now is really, really concerning. So, like I said to Stephen last night, and like I'll say to you,
Yes.
Simon, thank you for coming on here and just keeping me distracted for a while because it's, everyone is on the edge of their seat, on the edge of their seat. Uh, okay,
Yeah.
let's get to. I'm glad that restrictions are being lifted. Um, but okay, I just want to go back to the mental health thing. I was just thinking while you were telling that story where you're visiting your family, you're having conversations with them through the glass, which is, you're riding a high because you're with your family, and then 30 minutes later you go home to an empty house and you're just like, so lots of peaks and
Yeah.
valleys, lots of up and down. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm glad that everything worked out and everyone's back together now.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but let's get
Yeah.
into why, and I think it's important because we are going to talk about what you are currently doing. You have a podcast. We're going to talk about Quilts of Valor, but I think it's important for those that are watching this who don't know who you are. I think we just painted a pretty good picture of a family man, a caring individual, and now we're going to introduce people to what you're currently doing. So again, I'm going to give you the platform, Simon, to first talk about your podcast because you and I talked about getting your podcast up and going for a while behind the scenes. So I'm really
Oh,
stoked
yeah.
that you went forward with it. So just tell people your podcast, Journey of Faith.
Sure. Well, back in November, I launched my podcast, but this vision of my podcast, The Journey of Faith, started about 4 or 5 years ago when I produced and directed a movie called Stories of an Early Faith. And if people are looking to watch that video, they can. It's located on YouTube. If you Google search on YouTube, Stories of an Early Faith, you'll see the thumbnail of an older lady sitting in front of a Christmas tree. And what I did is I interviewed 5 people in my church, all of varying ages, about their experience of growing up in the church. And what I did is I put the 5 stories together, and then the senior pastor ended up being the moderator the of the movie, and then it ended up being about 45-minute movie. And on one Sunday evening, we ended up showing it instead of having an evening service. So then fast forward to last April, and the senior pastor and we sat down and interviewed a few other people about their story because I've always wanted to tell the story. And then in November, I decided to journey on myself and launch it myself. And so this past November, um, I jumped on my podcast and launched it, and had a number of great guests so far. And in fact, today I launched episode number 10, and people will be encouraged by the stories. We look at what people's earliest memory of going to church. It could have been a grandmother or Sunday school or whatever. And then if there's a significant person that stands out in their life that kind of helped them to develop their faith. And then lastly, what's a lesson that they want to leave the viewers of the podcast with? So maybe something that they learn through their life.
It's one of those, the way you have it set up, you are giving your guest the opportunity to tell stories, which is exactly what I'm doing with you, right? So good on you. And
Exactly.
I'm wondering how it's
the
obvious.
unique thing about the unique thing about my podcast is that most podcasts, you can talk on any topic for hours upon hours, but mine is boiled down. If you want to take a different title, it would be 21 Minutes of Faith. The podcast only lasts anywhere from 20 to maybe 25 minutes, depending on if we get down a rabbit trail or not. But typically it's 21 minutes centered around those three questions.
Okay. Do you have people searching you out? And here's the thing, like put your link up, like whatever you need to do in this comment section here to guide people over towards yours. Please do that. But I'm glad that you're doing
Sure, I
that.
will do that after we.
Yeah.
I'll definitely jump on after and guide people to my Facebook page. But if people want to look for it before I get a chance to jump into the comments and put it, you can search me up on Facebook at the Journey of Faith podcast. And it's on Facebook, and there are currently 10 episodes.
Okay. I think there is like a 4 or 5 second delay here. So let's go right into Quilts of Valor. So what is Quilts of Valor? How are you a part of it? And what does it mean to you to be a part of it?
Well, Quilts of Valor is a national project. It was started in Edmonton, Alberta, by a lady that was making visits to the Armed Forces Hospital in Edmonton. And this happened shortly after the first Canadian combatants were returning to Canada from Afghanistan. And some of these gents that she met had horrific injuries from being in war. And she felt within her heart that she wanted to do something to show gratitude from Canada to these soldiers. And so what she did is she created 3 quilts and basically gave them to these servicemen. And the reaction that she got from these 3 servicemen was such an overwhelming emotion of gratitude from these 3 gents. And from that, created this organization called Quilts of Valor. And I can't remember the exact number of quilts that have been given to date, but I myself got involved in 2019 because I too received a Quilt of Valor. I received my very own Quilt of Valor. Just hold on, I'll grab mine. This here
Nice.
is my Quilt of Valor. It was given to me in August of 2019 to say thank you for my service to the country of Canada and for the time that I spent serving within Canada. But I myself didn't feel worthy enough to take the quilt, and so I called Quilts of Valor and asked them what the program was. They told me, and from that I said, well, if I get it, I know many other friends of mine that are more deserving of getting a quilt than myself. So I looked at how to get involved, and so I got involved firstly as a presenter. So um, I would get notified when there'd be a presentation, and someone would say, "Hey, would you like to present a quilt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll present that quilt to so and so." And then through that, I started really getting involved in the program, trying to get it out in the public, and doing some TV and radio spots. And I just felt that this was a great organization, and I wanted to help it grow more here in Newfoundland. So then I contacted the regional rep and said, I'd like to kind of help you more with your role and take some of the stress off of you, because there was only one other regional rep for Newfoundland for the whole province. And
Okay.
I had a lot of contacts within the veterans world here in St. John's and Newfoundland and on the mainland. And I just felt that, hey, maybe I could help out. And so I jumped on board back this past summer and became a regional rep as well as the presenter for the program.
Now, do you have a hand in picking who the next recipient is? Is that one of your roles?
I have I get a list from our area coordinator. She's in Nova Scotia, and myself and the other regional rep, we just go down through the list of recipients, and if they're in my area, she'll call me up and say, hey, would you like to present this one? Or if you're not available, I can do it. So that's how it goes. It's just a numbered system, and however the nominations go in. Currently in Newfoundland, we're doing pretty good. We have probably, I think, 75 to 85 recipients waiting on a quilt. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of recipients all across the country that are waiting on quilts. So if there's someone that watches your show and is into quilting and would love to do a quilt for Quilt of Valor, they can search us up on quiltofvalor.ca and get involved by creating a quilt. There are specific measurements for the quilts, but they can contact the regional reps in their area and join in for a great organization to support veterans.
Okay, perfect. Just a few more moments here, Simon, but I will ask you again, any information you want to share in regards to Quilts of Valor and your podcast, just put it in the comment section here, guide people in the right direction. And if you're watching this, if you're just scrolling through Facebook and you've come across this is Facebook Live with Matthew. This is Simon MacInnis, Conception Bay South, Newfoundland. Snow here. Snow is not there yet. And we're just going to change gears real quick. I don't know if some people, maybe they don't know, but you've dabbled a little bit with TV and film. You've been on camera, and you've also done some security work. So I'm just wondering if you can share. The actor from This Hour Has 22 Minutes. He has a couple of shows right now, well, at least one. Son of a Critch, Mark Critch. You know Mr. Critch. I'm just wondering, can you share, let people know how decent of a Canadian and how funny this guy really is, how nice this individual really is, because you met him.
Mark Critch is a gem. I had the opportunity to meet Mark Critch back a number of years ago. Like Matt said, I did a stint in. I did some background acting for the show Republic of Doyle, which is where I originally met Mark Critch and Sean Majumder. And then through This Hour Has 22 Minutes, through Mark Critch, I met Trent McClellan and three great, solid guys from Newfoundland. And then also from Republic of Doyle, Alan Hocko, Alan Doyle, just down to earth guys. Normal person, you'd be starstruck, and they understand that you're starstruck for these guys because they're big, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Mark Critch is hilarious. Like what you see on TV is like 100% Mark Critch. Like there, there's times that Sean Majumder, Mark Critch, Alan Hocko, Alan Doyle would be in the room, in the lunchroom on Republic of Oil, and like you'd just hear like belly laughter just going from the table because these guys would be just joking and carrying on. And yeah, every time, like you said, I do the scattered security for the TV production, so I do run into Mark Critch often, and get to have like a quick conversation with him. He's always there to say hello, hey, how's it going, and then off to his next whatever. But yeah, no, great guy.
Good guy, good guy. Okay, one more thing, Simon, and we'll stay with TV. I'm going to list 5 sitcoms from back in the day, back when sitcoms were good, you know, our generation. So of the list that I'm about to give you, if you had to watch one of them for 24 hours straight, which one would you pick? Okay, so that's what I'm asking you. So you got 24 hours to watch one
Okay.
of these sitcoms from the 80s, and I'm just interested what you're going to pick. And that's how we'll end this, okay? Thank you, Sally. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I really appreciate the feedback with what I'm doing here. Okay, here we go, Simon. You're in a room. No one's forcing you to be in this room. You're there because it's fun. 24 hours to watch a sitcom from the 80s. What will you choose? Sorry, there's only 4 of them. Dukes of Hazzard, Hee Haw, Cheers, or Night Court. Of those 4, you have to watch 24 hours consecutive of just one of those shows. What are you watching? Dukes of Hazzard, Hee Haw, Cheers, or Night Court? And anyone's watching this, please feel free to play along.
I would have to say Dukes of Hazzard. Just because that brings back so many memories for me. Like you know, Matt, I recently lost my father last year, and I remember growing up watching Dukes of Hazzard, and growing up in Woodstock, we every Friday night we used to go to the Panorama Motel and the Panaquatic, the pool at the hotel, and on the way back we would stop at the Broadway Irving and pick up an evening snack, and then we would go home and sit in front of the TV and watch Dukes of Hazzard, myself, my brother, and my dad. And so if I had to rewatch one of those sitcoms today and have to sit down for a period of 24 hours and watch it, it would definitely be Dukes of Hazzard. And
Wow.
like you can't be old Og and Roscoe and the old sloppy dog.
You know, I'm glad that, you know, out of all the sitcoms that I could have chosen, I'm really glad that I chose Dukes of Hazzard. I'm glad that it's one of your favorites, because if not, we wouldn't have just heard that great story of tremendous memory with your brother and your dad. So awesome stuff. Simon, I'm going to leave it at that, because this show here at 9 o'clock was actually going up, and this is an amazing stat because I love this family, Brent and Patty Underhill in Woodstock, and their 2 boys, Michael and James. They have been doing their own on-camera show for many months now, and I believe this is the 165th episode of the Nightcap with Brent and Patty. So congratulations to just more fine Maritimers.
Right on. Well, Matt, thank you very much
Simon,
for having me on the show.
Absolutely, anytime, Simon, and congratulations on your podcast, The Quilts of Valor. Feel free to leave those comments here, point people over in the right direction. And the way you're doing your show, that's what I wanted to say. The way you're doing your podcast, Simon, you will have people lining up at your door to be a part of it. A, because everyone has a story, and B, everyone wants to share their story. So good on you for being that ear and being that outlet for people.
Well, the way I see it is that everybody knows the church story and all that, and everybody has heard the hymn, I love to tell the stories of Jesus and the cross. And everybody has somewhere along the way come across in their journey, especially growing up in Woodstock. It wasn't hard to find a church in Woodstock. It's almost as if there was one on every street corner. And every church in Woodstock was almost like Cheers, because everyone knew your name as soon as you came in and made you feel like home. And that's exactly what I want to do through my podcast, is allow people to share their story, share their journey. And people may be early in their journey, or they may be late in their journey, but we all have that story of faith that brings us to where we are at the current time that you share it. And like you said, I'm always looking for someone to share their story. And if someone out there tonight or later on after this live viewing wants to reach out to me because they have a story to tell, I encourage them to watch a couple of the episodes, and if they feel up to sharing the story, they can contact me on the Facebook page and reach out to me, and certainly we can line something up.
Perfect. Thank you, Simon.
No, Matthew, thank you for having me on tonight.
Okay, I don't want to be rude, but I'll let you excuse yourself from the room. There he is. Okay, thank you, Simon. There's sometimes the delay is only a few seconds, and sometimes you can tell that it's a good 4 or 5 seconds, so a little bit tricky. Thank you, Simon MacInnis, for being a part of Facebook Live with Matthew on a really stormy Friday night, the 25th night of February 2022. And I'll just close with this. I said it last night, and I said it during the show with Simon. This is, for lack of better words, a distraction for me. As much fun as I just had with Simon and letting everyone know about Simon and what he's doing, right here at the front of my mind is what is currently unfolding in Ukraine, in Europe. Like, very concerning. 2 weeks ago, when everything unfolded in Ottawa, yeah, as a Canadian, I was concerned. What's happening right now, as a human being occupying the planet Earth, I am gravely concerned for what is unfolding just across the North Atlantic Ocean. So pray for, I would say, world peace, but that's not going to happen tonight. But just pray for the people in Ukraine. I've seen just unbelievable footage from what's happening over there. We were watching a bit of it tonight, and Jen just instantly started crying. So for those that know that we're all energy, we're all connected, this is wreaking havoc on people. So I just hope for brighter days, a more peaceful way of life. Simon, thank you. I will be back here tomorrow night. I don't have a guest lined up for tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, but I will be here. Tomorrow night will be my 5th consecutive night of doing Facebook Live with Matthew. I've accepted the challenge, and I've grabbed the challenge by the horns, and I'm steering this ride. So thank you for the live views. If you're watching this at your leisure, I appreciate that as well. If you like what you see, what you hear, just share it. I just ask you to share. That's all I will ever ask you to do with this broadcast, is share it with your friends. So have a great night. If it's stormy in your neck of the woods, just be careful. If you don't need to go out, don't go out. You've been locked up for 2 years. What's one more Friday night at home, right? Right. Okay, this is Facebook Live with Matthew. Have a great night. I always have to turn it off with my